This is Giulia. She helps business owners grow with Instagram, and with our YouTube sales funnel system, we've made her over $150,000, with even one of her videos collecting her over $40,000 in just 3 days. In this interview, we dive into how she's amassed 60,000 plus views on YouTube and over 1,000 subscribers completely hands-off besides recording, the strategy behind one of her videos on its way to 10,000 plus views, and even how we use the same process to close her partner a $25,000 deal. If you want to know how to nurture and generate highly qualified leads that are easy to close without needing a ton of views, then this is a video for you. Let's get into it. Hey Giulia, thank you for joining me today to share your experience working with Content Cash Media. This is a very special one for me because we've been working together for such a long time. So yeah, it's definitely a pleasure to have you on today.
Thank you so much for having me.
For sure, for sure. So can you go a little bit into your business, who you are and what you really do?
Yeah, so I'm a content creator, but I'm also a CEO of my online education company. And we have a program called the Conscious Creator Academy. And what we do is we help content creators, coaches, and done for you service providers scale with organic social media content. And what we do really is really teach people how to monetize their content because when I first started, I just started as an influencer and it was really fun to post about my life online and all of that, but I didn't have money. And I was like, well, doing some brand deals could bring in some income, but I kind of felt like I was still working for somebody else.
Mhm.
So then what I did was I discovered online courses, how to create courses, and I was in a completely different niche when I started. I was a manifestation coach, and I monetized that niche to multiple six figures. And then once I did, I took a sidestep and I taught people how to monetize as niche creators. And now we've helped over 300 people through the academy, which has been really epic to see. And it's really been only about a year and a half that we've helped, all these clients.
Yeah, that's definitely amazing. That's why it's been a pleasure working with you for so long. But yeah, can you share a little bit about where you were before and after working with us in terms of like your revenue growth?
Yeah, so before we started working together, I had invested to work with a YouTube strategist. And my goal was I just wanted to learn everything about YouTube. So I just wanted to learn like what is the strategy I could be doing. As you can see from what I shared, my genius is short form and organic. Like on Instagram specifically. I used to do TikTok, but not really anymore. And I knew long form was going to just be a completely different ball game. So I started working with the strategist and it was really great, but he wasn't going to do the editing for me and the execution. So that was like a big thing for me where I was like, this is awesome. And I paid all this money and it was really great, but I needed someone to help me execute the vision. And I was kind of tired of just, trying to find people on Fiverr and Upwork and, deal with all the nuance of just trying to figure out like editing on my own
Yeah.
and really having to like manage editors and things like that. So I really was like, okay, I just want to pay for a service and an agency that can handle everything for me. And I think the hardest thing for me, which we talk about a lot offline, is my style. And
Yeah.
I've gone through so many editors because, I've been doing this for over 4 years, putting out content. I mean, I think my first YouTube video was like 2019, and don't
Yeah.
go watch it
Crazy.
anybody because it's embarrassing. So, like, I've been doing this, for quite some time, and I've always struggled to outsource it because I was like, no one really understands my vision. And, to answer your question of where are you after, I think you guys really do understand the vision and you're super patient with all my edits. And that was something that I said from the beginning. I was like, I'm very picky, I'm very particular, and I want to make sure that the person that I work with is okay with that because I want to make sure that it's perfect to my vision because that was the hardest part for me. And you guys have totally done that. And one more piece that I'll add to it is I wanted it to work in alignment with my Instagram strategy. And you guys have nailed that so well. So I feel like the first few months was me just trying to like understand how to be good on long form and be good on camera. And now it's at a point where the Instagram content is actually pushing to the YouTube channel
Yeah.
and the longer form videos are what are converting people to become paid clients.
Yeah, it's actually crazy because it took us a while to kind of like nail the style. Like you said, you're giving us revisions. We're going back. We're making sure it's perfect. And yeah, like you said, the Instagram is pushing to the long form. I know even this morning we booked a call with YouTube, so that's crazy. I was gonna ask like in terms of like our overall revenue growth with YouTube, how much have we helped you make?
Yeah, so I think it's pretty hard to say because we don't do like high rows or any like in-depth tracking of being like this is where people come. But we're doing, pretty close to 200K a month now. And that all started to scale from like being pretty stagnant at like 80, 90K to now being, close to 200K. And I think the long form really has a lot to do with that. And when people ask me, because my clients are like, Julia, I see you on YouTube. Should I get on YouTube? What I say to them is it's definitely great in addition to the short form because the thing about short form is that short form generates new traffic and new eyeballs, but it's the long form that really converts people. So, for example, what we do is when we have a Instagram video,
Mhm.
we then let's say like we book a call from Instagram, every call that we book, we're sending them the YouTube videos and being like, watch this video before we get on the call so you can learn more about what we do. And then people are coming to the call, spending already an hour with me from the YouTube video, like the free course that we have running. And
Yep.
that's been huge. Just putting the VSLs right on YouTube has been a big up level. So I can't give you like an exact figure,
Mhm.
but we did, just like a month ago, start asking where have you found us, and just kind of through the grapevine and clients telling us like, oh, I've been binging your YouTube channel. I just had a really big YouTuber actually message me yesterday. Is like, I'm a silent fan on YouTube. So a lot of people
Crazy.
watch it and they just kind of tell me like by word of mouth.
Got you. Yeah, that's amazing. Would you definitely say it was over six figures though, or?
Yeah,
Got you.
absolutely.
I kind of want to dive into because obviously we work with many different people, many different niches, and like you said, you had problems with YouTube before starting. Can you dive deeper into those like challenges you had with like the content process, whether it's editing, the actual strategy, just like your overall problems before working with us?
Yeah, I think my problem was not understanding how YouTube works. And I think your knowledge base and strategy of really how to do YouTube right has been a huge help. I also like sucked at thumbnails and I couldn't find a good thumbnail editor. And I think that's like, we don't really talk about that much, but that's huge. Like the packaging, I think that's
Yep.
really your genius and your company's genius is me being like, okay, I have this idea. I have this video that worked on Instagram. I want to bring it onto YouTube. But you're like the creative genius behind the branding and the packaging. And I think that's huge because we know from Instagram, like with hooks, that's the same thing with thumbnails on YouTube, where if it's not visually appealing, people aren't going to click on it.
100%. I totally agree with you because even with our video that's on its way to 10K views right now, it was like I let you basically choose ideas. Like I like to dive into insights. This goes into like our strategy and how we think about things, right? And then we just packaged three thumbnail variations, and from there we found one that worked, and that video is on its way to 10K views, which is insane. So I 100% agree with you.
Yeah, absolutely. I think great timing because that was like, I mean, I feel like we've been putting in so much time and energy, like all our deposits into the YouTube account, and now it's starting to like pay off. Where like the subscriber growth is over 4K. We're gonna hit 5K. We're gonna get that first video to 10K. That's gonna be
Yeah,
my most popular video on the page. So
crazy.
that's been pretty cool.
Yeah, we've definitely been gaining a ton of subscribers as well. I kind of want to also dive into like I guess our process as far as like before and after. What were you doing on YouTube? Obviously, you were handling basically everything yourself, and then how are things like now working with us?
Yeah, so as a YouTube expert told me when I started, it was just like a big garbage can, basically, of just like I was posting mukbangs, apartment tours, Instagram tips, manifestation. Like I'm like embarrassed. I still don't go look back on it. So if that gives some context of like it was a disaster
Yes.
to now us being like we found the topics that we've nailed, let's position my brand as like Julia is the expert in these specific topics. And I think that has been the greatest gift from working together is nailing those topics and just doubling down on them. So for example, like we're seeing the Instagram tips be huge. So we're just like doubling down on Instagram tips, Instagram organic, and then we also saw like a video that was an outlier was bringing in other, big accounts in the space and really like playing off of those themes because they have high search. Um, and I also want to just add in there as well too. This is like a side nugget of you guys just offering so much value of like split testing the thumbnails, going into the analytics, watching the videos, and you're a true creative. And that's what I was looking for because I'm really dialed into my business and like being a CEO that I would just never sit and be like, let me split test this thumbnail. So I think that's like a big value add for me as a business owner that you guys are going to go that extra mile. And I feel like that's like huge that you guys do for me.
Thank you so much for the kind words. I was actually gonna dive a little bit into like how we work together as far as like what you're doing and then like what we kind of take care of and like how long is it typically taking you these things. So you kind of led us into that next topic perfectly. So yeah, you can go ahead.
Awesome. Yeah. So we've kind of gotten into a good flow where I've discovered, and also too, like, I think everybody on YouTube or any channel really, but definitely YouTube, you have to throw that spaghetti at the wall a little bit and just try a bunch of stuff to figure out who you want to be as a creator. And now that we're kind of over that pain that really took like a year and a half or maybe like a year, now I've realized like, okay, this is where I'm going to be in my genius. This is where you're going to be in your genius. This is where the team's going to be in their genius. And I think for me, it's like batch recording is big so that I only have to sit down, 1 or 2 hours a month to crank out 4 or 5 videos. I think you guys really helping me through digging through my archives, my Riverside account, and finding the old videos and packaging them. So like, for example, I was doing a bunch of like client testimonial podcasts, and then we realized that this was a big theme for the channel of interviewing other creators to talk about their success, and it's driving more sales for the academy. And then once again, we're using those to send to people pre-call. So before they're jumping on the call, we're like, hey, watch this interview. So I feel like we finally mastered a funnel where the short form feeds into the long form. And then we use the long form as leverage for the customer to spend more time with me and the brand. Because what we found, especially with Instagram, is someone needs to consume 8 hours of content before they're going to buy from you. So we sell a really high ticket program, like close to $10,000. So people aren't just watching 30-second videos and being like, I'm ready to pay in full, right? Like they need to spend time, they need to build trust. And that's why I invest so much time and energy and even money into like working together, because to me, it's more of like a longer term payoff than measuring like put out one video, how much did I make?
That's why I think YouTube is the best long-term play for entrepreneurs, especially since you're so busy. So yeah, the next area that I was going to touch on is like, what do you find the most value in and why? I kind of think I know the answer with this one is like, because we handle 99% of the process basically. But yeah, go ahead and like share like what you get the most out of working with us and just like why.
Yeah, I think being hands off. So that was like the big shift of like, oh, I could just go hire an editor and do it myself, but you really have to manage them, right? Like you really have to be like, not at this time, spelling error, this and that. Whereas like for you guys, I'm like, here's the raw footage, here's the post date, and I'm just like hands off. I forget that it's a Thursday and the post is going up, and you're like, it's done, and you're like, we're on the rise. It just hit 1K views. And that's exactly what I wanted. So that and the packaging. So like, for example, I'm really good with like the ideas and the education. I could sit in front of the camera and like speak my genius, but you'll never see me spending like 4 hours trying to package a thumbnail. But I love that you guys do that because it's necessary, but it's not the work that I want to be doing because it's not my genius.
Got you for sure. So I mean, based on our results, I mean, over 6 figures generated, the channel is growing crazily. Where do you kind of see yourself in the next 6 to 12 months as far as like your actual business and then combining YouTube in with that?
Yeah, so I definitely am enjoying seeing the payoff of like people converting to the academy, spending more time at the account. So I want to keep on that trajectory, but I think some of the bigger goals are definitely getting the channel to 10K.
Yeah.
Definitely starting to get like more bangers instead of just like one. Now that we found one that works, I feel really confident that we could get multiple viral videos, maybe our first 100K video. And then lastly would be getting monetized. Like I've hit, the 1K mark of subscribers, but I just need those watch hours. So just getting my watch hours in and starting to get monetized. And then Another one I'll add is starting to do more brand deals because I found that the brand deals on YouTube are definitely a lot better than what you would get paid for short form.
Definitely the monetization. That's a good thing about YouTube though, especially when you're selling a high ticket offer, you can still make money while you're not monetized. But I
Hmm.
think all those three things that you mentioned are definitely important. I have a kind of different question here. What kind of like I guess surprised you about our process, or did you have like any misconceptions coming into us working together?
Yeah, I think what surprised me is just like how hard you guys go the extra mile. Like it's pretty rare to get that in an agency
Yeah.
because usually they're just like, okay, we want to, productize our service and we just want to like in and out. Like I've talked to so many agencies and they're like, you pay this much, you get this many videos and it's all laid out. Whereas like you guys are like working around the clock to do whatever it takes to be successful. And that was like a big reason why I chose to work with you guys is because I wanted people that were really invested in my brand, my channel, not just like, hey, join our roster of 100 clients and just get cookie cutter results.
Yeah, exactly. And I think it even got better once we actually brought on like a full-time team compared to a lot of these other agencies. Like we actually have a COO, we have an assistant.
Hmm.
So our team is working 24/7 essentially. We're talking 24/7. So I think that's another huge benefit. We're probably going to get into the last two questions here, but like what would you say to someone that's kind of on the fence with working with content cash media, whether it's full service YouTube, short form content or video editing, and what would you kind of tell them?
Just do it. Like, you're never going to regret a done for you service. That's what I'm starting to realize. Like, one of my friends texted me today and was like, hey, my friend, I'm into like astrology and stuff. And she
Yeah.
was like, hey, my friend is doing a 2 hour webinar on how to read your chart. And I'm like, listen, I don't want to go to no webinar. I just want to pay to get my chart read
Yeah.
and like just know what I need to know. And it's the same thing here. So I think the most important thing is like a done for you service is just you're investing to be hands off. And that's what you guys do really well. So I think this would be perfect for anybody who's thinking about doing YouTube, but maybe it's not their genius to be editing videos. And I know even when I used to edit my own videos, it would take me like 7, 8 hours. And I think it's important for business owners to really think about like, what are their goals? Like, I'm not trying to be a Mr. Beast or the best YouTuber. I'm trying to grow my online education company and use YouTube as a platform for lead generation and for converting and nurturing. So in that case, it makes the most sense for someone like me and other personal brands to go with a company like yours so that they can just focus on delivering the content and you guys handle the rest.
Appreciate that so much. Yeah, that's why we're huge on handling the whole process. That's why we're huge on sending end of month reports so you can be dialed in without having to put all your time into the content or the editing or things of that nature. But yeah, thank you so much. If you have any final thoughts you would like to share with the audience, you can go ahead and share. But I appreciate you so much for hopping on. Like I said, this is a really huge interview for me, especially since we've been working for so long. I do appreciate you so much. I also do look up to you as you are a great entrepreneur. So thank you so much for hopping on today.
Thank you. And I appreciate the kind words. And the last thing I'll say is just like, this has been an amazing experience. Like you even know I got my partner Marcos to come on board and I refer you guys like all the time. I'm like, talk to Nate. Like he's awesome. He's the best. Like he has the best agency. And I think it's so awesome to just see you doing such big things and working so hard and building the team. And I get it because like I started my business that same way too. And I think it's just really awesome to see you like running an agency from a do whatever it takes mindset
Yeah.
because as an entrepreneur myself and building my company, bootstrapping it the same way that you are, I've realized that not everybody has that mindset. And it's the people that do have that mindset that succeed. And it's also the people that I like doing business with because we do the same thing for our clients. Like we're going to do whatever it takes to help them be successful. And that's pretty few and far between these days. So thank you so much for everything.
Thank you, thank you. Yeah, I appreciate all the referrals. I already know we closed the Marcos a $25,000 deal. So that was crazy. But yeah, you're definitely an inspiration to me. It's great working with you, and thank you so much for your time.
Thanks, Nate.